Long before iron kissed iron and kingdoms rose from the red earth, the land of Oyo stretched vast and proud beneath the endless sky. Palm trees swayed where the winds of the ancestors breathed, and the river ocean glistened like a silver serpent under the sun. The people of Oyo lived by rhythm, of drum, of chant, of market song, of war cry. Kings ruled, Babalawo divined, hunters roamed, and every child was born carrying the whispers of their ancestors in their blood. But one night, the sky itself refused silence. It was the season of heavy rain. Thunder cracked open the heavens as if Sango, lord of lightning and flame, had unsheathed his furious axe. Fire flashed across the clouds, splitting darkness into shards of light. In the heart of the storm, a cry rose, not of thunder, not of drums, but of a child being born. In a small hut at the edge of the kingdom, where the scent of burning palm oil lamps mingled with rain-soaked earth, a woman named Adetokombo pushed through the storm of labor. Her voice rose, trembling yet unbroken, calling the spirits of her foremothers to give her strength. Around her, old women fanned, prayed, and chanted incantations to keep wandering spirits away. At last, the cry came. A boy, small and trembling, but alive. The women gasped. For when the child opened his eyes, they burned. Not with fever, not with reflection of lamplight, but with a steady glow of ember fire, golden and red. The hut fell into silence. One of the elder women dropped the gourd of water she carried. Another muttered beneath her breath. Someone whispered, "Ene, the trickster walks among us." Another countered in fear, "No. This is the mark of Sango himself." But Adetokombo, drenched in sweat and love, held her son close. She looked into those burning eyes and did not flinch. She whispered his name. Eokono, joy has returned home. Yet joy was not what the villagers felt. News spread like wildfire. A child with flames in his eyes. Some said he was a blessing, chosen by Sango. Others muttered he was an omen, a vessel of ruin. The market women hissed behind their calabashes, the hunters spat into the soil, and mothers clutched their children tighter whenever Eokono passed. By the third day, the whispers grew loud enough to reach the palace. The Alefin, king of Oyo, summoned his Babalawo. The old priest, robed in white, sat before the sacred divining tray. He poured cowrie shells, his lips murmuring ancient chants. The shells fell, roared, and stilled. His eyes widened. He spoke. A child has come bearing the fire of the heavens. If guided, he will be the shield of Oyo. If rejected, he will be its ruin. When the shadow that eats light rises, only his flame will stand between life and endless night. The court fell into uneasy silence. The king's face, carved in wisdom and worry, revealed nothing. He simply ordered, "Let the child live. His fate belongs to the gods." And so Eokono grew beneath the weight of two names, curse and savior. Children dared not play with him. Merchants crossed to the other side of the path. Some nights, when his fire glimmered brighter, even the elders refused to look him in the eye. Yet his mother remained his shield. At night she sang to him. No flame is born only to destroy. Even fire cooks yam, even fire lights the darkness. My son, your fire is not curse, it is gift. One day, they will see. But the boy, small and lonely, often pressed his face into her wrapper and asked in a trembling voice, "Mama, why am I different?" She would smile, stroking his hair. "Because the sky chose you. And the sky does not choose in vain." Years passed. His fire never left him. When he laughed, his eyes sparkled like morning flame. When he was frightened, sparks glowed hotter. And when he grew angry, the fire leapt, small licks of heat that scorched mats or singed cloth. One market day, a group of boys mocked him, calling him Omo Aina, child of fire, and shoved him to the ground. Tears filled Eokonole's eyes. The fire rose. The grass around them smoked, flames curling out like restless snakes. The boys screamed and fled. Villagers rushed with water and sand. By the time the fire died, Eokono was called against the wall, trembling, whispering, "I did not mean to. I did not mean to." That day, the whispers became louder. Some said he should be cast into the forest, where the spirits would claim him. Others warned of the prophecy, if Oyo rejected him, ruin would follow. But still, Adetokunbo stood. He is my son. My fire. My joy. If the heavens chose him, who are we to refuse? And so the boy lived, half feared, half pitied, but always burning with the secret knowledge that something beyond him waited. Something he could not yet name. One night, as he slept, Eokono dreamed. He stood in a vast plain of red earth beneath a storming sky. Lightning struck all around, and from the whirlwind emerged a towering figure, eyes blazing, axe flaming, thunder rumbling in his chest. The god Sango. The fire-eyed child trembled. But the god's voice roared like drums of war. Omomi, my child. The fire you carry is mine. The world will fear you, but fear is the shadow of power. A time will come when darkness greater than night will swallow your land. On that day, you must not hide. On that day, you must burn. Only fire drives away the endless night. The dream faded. Eokono awoke, sweat slick on his brow, his eyes glowing brighter than ever before. That was the beginning. The birth of fire. The birth of prophecy. The birth of the child the kingdom both feared and desperately needed. Seasons turned in the great kingdom of Oyo. The market squares bustled with the chatter of women selling yam and palm oil, the clan of blacksmiths, the laughter of children chasing goats through red dust streets. Life paused strong beneath the sun. Yet, beneath that ordinary rhythm, whispers always returned to one name, Eokono, the child with fire in his eyes. As he grew from crawling babe to stumbling toddler, the truth of his gift could no longer be hidden. His laughter made sparks flicker. His tears steamed when they touched the earth. And when anger seized his little chest, flames shimmered behind his pupils, frightening even the bravest warrior. The people of Oyo began to keep their distance. Some called him Abiku, a cursed child born between worlds. Others called him Omosango, son of the god of lightning. But all agreed on one thing: Eokono was not ordinary. Sound, crackle of fire, hush of a crowd. At 5 years old, his secret was laid bare. One afternoon, while playing with other children near the village edge, a boy named Ode slipped and tumbled into a dry thorn bush. The sharp thorns pierced his skin, and before the adults could reach him, the bush caught fire from the scorching midday heat. Flames licked the boy's clothes. The children screamed. Mothers rushed forward. And then, it happened. Eokono's eyes blazed like twin torches. His small hands stretched forward, trembling. The fire that should have consumed Ode bent, shifted, then died with a hiss. The boy was saved, the flame swallowed by a strange heat that seemed to come from Eokono himself. The people gasped. Relief turned quickly into fear. Oloron oh! The boy quenched fire with fire, someone cried. Or is it fire that answers his command? Another muttered. The crowd looked at him with awe and suspicion. Ode's mother pulled her child away, clutching him tightly as if Eokono himself was a danger greater than the flames. That night, when Eokono and his mother returned home, they found a calabash of ashes placed by their doorway, an omen, a warning from the villagers. But there was one person who never feared him, his mother, Abike. Every night, she drew him close, stroked his hair, and whispered, Omomi, Eokono, you are not a curse. You are fire, and fire is life. It cooks our yam, it forges our iron, it lights our path at night. Do not let their fear dim your flame. Her words became his shield against the world's rejection. Years passed. The boy became lean, his gaze deep and piercing. He walked alone often, to the forest where silk cotton trees reach for the heavens. There, he practiced in secret. When anger bubbled in his chest, he clenched his fists, and sparks flew. When he calmed his breath, the fire retreated. But control was never easy. One day, in the heart of the market, the test came again. A thief snatched a woman's basket of groundnuts and fled. Warriors gave chase, but the man darted like a rabbit, weaving through the crowd. Eokono, barely 10 years old, stepped into his path. The thief laughed. Out of my way, boy. But Eokono's eyes glowed. The thief stumbled, frozen by that burning stare. Heat shimmered in the air, and the basket dropped from his hands. The warriors seized him instantly. The crowd erupted in cheers. For the first time, O'Connor's fire had been a blessing to the people. But their joy was short-lived. As the warriors dragged the thief away, O'Connor turned, his chest heaving from the power that had surged through him. Uncontrolled sparks leapt from his fingers, striking a thatched roof. The hut went up in flames. Panic spread. Men beat the fire with palm fronds, women screamed as smoke choked the air, children scattered in terror. The hut was lost before the flames could be contained. And though no life was taken, the people of Oyo looked upon O'Connor with new dread. The elders of the kingdom had decreed, "Let him enter the ancestral grove, where spirits measure the weight of a soul. If he is pure, fire will guide him. If he is corrupt, darkness will claim him." Drums carried the decree into every hut, every courtyard, every hidden corner of Oyoni. And so the people gathered at the edge of the sacred forest, their faces lit by torches, their eyes by fear and hope. O'Connor walked barefoot upon the earth, a white cloth tied about his waist, his chest bare, his skin painted with sacred ash. At his side, his mother E moved silently, her lips pressed to prayer. Behind them came the royal council, draped in red and black, carrying staffs topped with cowrie shells. At the forest edge, the Babalawo, high priest of Oyoni, raised his staff. His voice roared like thunder. "O child with fire in your eyes, tonight you walk where no mortal walks freely. The grove will strip you of all masks. Ancestors see truth, not crowns, not fears, not whispers. You will enter alone. If you return, you will belong to us. If you do not, then the shadows will have found their king." O'Connor bowed his head, though his eyes smoldered with defiance. For even as a boy, he had grown weary of whispers, weary of being called blessing and curse in the same breath. He longed for truth, even if it burned. Deciduous tree, the ancestral grove. The grove was alive, ancient, breathing. The moment O'Connor stepped past the boundary of twisted trees, the air thickened. The torches of the villagers did not follow, instead, the forest glowed with its own strange light. Fireflies drifted like spirits. The roots beneath his feet pulsed faintly, like veins carrying blood. A hush fell. The boy moved deeper. Shadows slithered across the trunks, curling like serpents, whispering his name. O'Connor. O'Connor, fire child, curse child. The further he walked, the heavier his chest became, as though unseen hands pressed upon it. He stumbled but pressed on until he reached the circle of ancestors. It was a clearing carved by time, its center marked by a stone altar scarred with fire and blood. Around it rose the carved faces of wooden effigies, towering, grim, each one glowing faintly with ancestral presence. Their eyes lit like embers, turning upon him. And then, they spoke. Not with one voice, but with hundreds, a chorus of men, women, warriors, mothers, kings long gone. "Child of flame, what are you? A torch to guide, or a fire to consume?" O'Connor trembled, but his eyes fled. He stepped forward. "I do not know what I am. But I know I did not ask for this fire. You placed it within me. Tell me, why?" The effigies groaned, their wood cracking, and one stepped forward. Its eyes blazed white. Fire is not given to be questioned. It is given to be wielded. Yet wielding requires sacrifice. Suddenly, the grove darkened. The glowing effigies dimmed, and from the ground, a shape began to rise. Black as night, its body smoke, its eyes pits of endless void. O'Connor's breath caught. The shadow that watched his childhood, the same presence that crept from his fire in anger, now towered before him, no longer hidden. "So," it hissed, its voice like crackling coals, "you are the vessel. You carry the flame that should have been mine. I will take it now." The boy's eyes burned, but fear twisted his stomach. He stumbled back as the shadow lunged, swallowing light. Instinctively, his hands rose, and from them burst fire, wild, golden, alive. The forest lit up as roots hissed in flame. "I'm one, ancient guide of destiny." O'Connor, fire is not destruction alone. It is warmth, it is rebirth, it is vision in darkness. Your trial is not to banish the shadow, but to master it. The shadow snarled. The boy blinked, confused. Master it. It seeks to consume me. The spirit's voice roared like steady thunder. Every man carries a shadow. Deny it, and it rules you. Face it, and it obeys you. O'Connor rose. His chest pounded, but his eyes burned hotter than before. He faced the shadow, no longer with terror, but with defiance. He spread his hands wide. Fire did not burst uncontrolled this time. Instead, it gathered, coiled, breathing with him. Flames circled his arms like bracelets, danced across his chest like paint. The shadow lunged again. This time, O'Connor did not blast it away. He stepped into it. Embraced it. The darkness hissed, clawed, resisted, and then screamed, folding into his fire. The blaze turned black for a heartbeat, then gold again, purer, steadier. Silence. The boy stood alone in the grove, his fire no longer wild, but alive, controlled, luminous. His shadow lay beneath him, no longer a predator, but his own. The effigies thundered with approval. The spirit's voice echoed. The trial is complete. He is not curse, nor savior. He is balance. He is fire. When O'Connor stepped back into the open night, the people gasped. His body glowed faintly with embers that did not consume him. His eyes shone, steady, like twin suns. His mother fell to her knees, tears streaming. Oloran be praised, she whispered. The crowd murmured, some in awe, some in fear. But none could deny what they had seen. The boy had walked the grove and returned. The Babalawo struck his staff into the earth. The prophecy begins to unfold. Shadows bow to him. Fire bends to him. He is no longer boy. He is Aboluwa, the king the ancestors themselves have tested. But far away, unseen, in the depth of the kingdom's borders, whispers stirred among rival chiefs. They had watched. They had listened. And they would not let the fire child ascend without challenge. Like thunder before a storm. Drums quicken, horns blare. The griot's voice rose across the night as if the ancestors themselves leaned in to listen. The gathering storm. Though O'Connor had returned from the ancestral grove changed, Oyoni was not yet safe. News of his trial spread like wildfire, not just within the kingdom but beyond its borders. Rival chiefs, long resentful of Oyoni's prosperity, now feared and hungered for the boy's power. In the east, whispers rose among the Egbomenon warlords, if this child commands both flame and shadow, he must not sit upon a throne. Better ashes than his reign. The boy stood beside his father, still clothed in the white from his trial, embers glowing faintly upon his skin. The Babalawo raised his staff, intoning. The grove has spoken. Fire has bent. Shadow has bowed. Let it be known, O'Connor, Oboluwa, child with fire in his eyes, is chosen by both ancestors and flame. The crowd erupted in chants. But before the final blessing could fall, a horn blasted from the gates. Warriors stormed the square, armored, painted, bearing the banners of rival chiefs. Betrayal had crept within the very heart of the kingdom. Steel clashed, screams rose, and in the chaos, a blade struck the king. At the height of battle, the rival chiefs advanced, their charms and weapons gleaming. Among them strode a masked figure, the true architect of betrayal. The mask was obsidian, its eyes voids of smoke. O'Connor's fire flickered. He knew that presence. It was the shadow, not banished, but reborn in human flesh. The shadow chief, mocking, did you think you mastered me, boy? I am not within you alone. I live in all men's greed, in envy, in betrayal. You cannot kill me. The people gasped as the ground split, black smoke pouring forth, cloaking the chief's army. O'Connor stood alone, fire dancing on his skin. He tightened his grip on the beads in his hand. His voice ran across the square. O'Connor, you are right. I cannot kill shadow. But I can crown it with light. The shadow chief lunged, blade raised high, darkness swirling. O'Connor met him head-on. Fire clashed with shadow, sparks and smoke tearing the sky asunder. For every strike of darkness, he answered with flame. For every whisper of destruction, he answered with focus. Until, at last, he drew the shadow inward once more, not to destroy it, but to bind it. With a final roar, Eoconol's fire blazed golden, enveloping the shadow chief. The mask shattered. The invaders fled, broken and leaderless. The people of Oyoni gathered, trembling, staring at the boy who had become flame incarnate. Eoconol stood tall, chest heaving, eyes burning steady, not wild. The Babalawo, rising from the dust, struck his staff. Babalawo, behold. Not monster, not curse, but king. The ancestors have tested him. The fire obeys him. The shadow bows. Let him be crowned. The crowd thundered with chants, voices rising like a tidal wave. His mother, tears gleaming, placed a hand upon his shoulder. Eoconol lifted his gaze to the horizon, where dawn broke, golden light spilling across the land. For the first time, his fire felt not like a burden, but a crown. And so, the child with fire in his eyes became king. Not because he destroyed shadow, but because he mastered it. His flame would guide Oyoni into an age of both fear and glory. But beyond the borders, whispers still stirred, for fire spreads. And where it spreads, destiny follows. Like and subscribe for more amazing African folktale and true crime.